I would like to speak to you on what I know of theatre during the English Renaissance, particularly during the time of my cousin, Queen Elizabeth I, known as the Elizabethan era, between 1558 and 1603. Mary I was queen before Elizabeth I. Mary was Catholic and Elizabeth was Protestant. I'll give you a little bit of tea on their dynamics. Mary I was a bit shady, and she was found to be plotting to kill Elizabeth I. Naturally, or not so naturally, Elizabeth had Mary executed in 1587. Philip II of Spain, who was married to Mary I, decided to invade England with the Spanish Armada in an attempt to dethrone Queen Elizabeth. But he lost, which caused England's power to grow stronger. During Queen Elizabeth's reign, the Protestants controlled the government. Universities expanded beyond classical and Italian work, and therefore English drama entered the scene. When Elizabeth I ascended the throne, she banned the performances of all religious plays and stories, except in the church, of course. And she did this to help stop the violence over religion. She wanted no religious dissension, and therefore there was a rapid development of secular drama as a result. Between 1559 and 1570, Queen Elizabeth gained governmental control over the public theatres. In 1574, something really exciting happened. Playwriting became an actual profession, and the playwrights that were hired had to write 4 to 5 plays a year in order to make a proper living. The acting companies needed to have a license requiring the patronage of a noble, but the provincial troops were deprived of legal status, so theatre was mostly concentrated around London. The merchant class disliked theatre, and most of them were a part of the growing Puritan population, while the aristocracy liked it. Till 1608, theatre buildings were illegal in the city limits of London, which was the centre of theatre. So theatres were built outside of the city limits. The first of these buildings were by James Burbage, who was the head of the first important troupe, and he called it the theatre. The actual acting style of the Elizabethan era is not known. Some scholars believe that the acting was more formal, that is, males doing female roles and non-realistic scripts and conventionalized stage sets and large repertories. However, some scholars believed that the acting was more realistic, and some examples of that would be Shakespeare's advice to the players in Hamlet, the contemporaneous references to convincing characterizations, the emphasis on contemporary life and manners in many comedies, the truthfulness of characters, of the human psychology played, and also the closeness of the audience to the performers. In either case, vocal quality and flexibility were absolutely necessary. There was something called the Master of Revels, and they were responsible for the Queen's entertainment. The Queen's Men, which was later called Lord Admiral's Men, was an all-star acting troupe formed by William Shakespeare, and they performed for the Queen. During Elizabeth's reign, you could see a play in London any day of the week except Sundays, or during Lent, or during a plague. And actually, the plague closed the theatres several times, and there was even one time where it was closed for 18 months during the years of 1582 and 83. Women were allowed in theatres, but it was absolutely detrimental to a woman's reputation to stand in the yard for a performance. England's golden age theatre was between the years 1585 and 1642. Thanks for listening.